So today we're going to learn about the shaft and groove tools. Like I said in previous videos, each one of these sketch-based features usually has a positive feature and a negative feature. So for example, in the pad, we made a sketch and then we padded it up and it made a solid. It made a visible item in space. The pocket takes the same type of sketch, but it removes it from the material that we're looking at. So with the shaft tool, what we have to do is make a sketch first. So I'll just do an overview of this really quick. We'll go into Sketcher here, and maybe I just make a square out here in space. And I exit out. Now, if I have this square right here, this rectangular, and I take the shaft tool, I can pick this and say spin it around this vertical axis, and then I end up with kind of a cylinder here. The fun part about this is if I delete this, I can do it again, and I can come in here and maybe pick the spline tool. This will allow you to make kind of curvy shapes. So if you see it bends around each point, click, 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 right? And so I have this shape here. I'll exit out and shaft this spin around which axes? The vertical axes again. Now you end up with this kind of blob shape. So this is close to something that you could be doing in surface design. Gives us a little bit more options rather than just this plain basic pads. So let me delete this. Okay, now to show you the groove tool, I'll add something in here first. So let's say, just to review, I'll do a little pad here, right? So I come into here and I will make, how about a circle again, exit, pad this up. Let's pad it up maybe 3 inches. So we have this cylinder, our planes are about in the center of it. I'm going to pick this plane right here. Go into Sketcher, and now I can take, how about this tool for the fun of it? This is a profile tool, and it allows you to just make line type shapes. So I hit that and exit. So I take that sketch there. Now that you see that I have a solid here, all the features that were negative were all grayed out, but now that I have a solid here in the work environment, they light up because now I have something that I can affect. So I come over here to Groove, and I pick the sketch that I want to use and the axes I want to spin around. Because this happens to be a cylinder, I could pick the face of this and it knows where the axial center is, or again I could pick the vertical axes of the sketch. Either way. That will spin that around 360 degrees. Of course, you can change that. Hit OK, and it will carve it away. Pretty handy. Okay. Get rid of all of that. All right, so now I want to get a little bit more detailed into this. Talk about some of the extra features of the shaft tool. So again, I can come in here to Sketcher, and I can make a shape. So let's say I want to make a shape that looks like this. Say, okay, well there's my shape, and I want to spin this around 360 degrees. So I exit out, I hit the shaft tool, and I say I want to spin around the vertical axes again, and we get this. What it's saying here is I have to close this down by an axis or at least another line, some other line that I could close that sketch with that I could use to spin it around. So for example, there's a couple different things we could do here. I could say, okay, well, let's cancel that. Let's get back into the sketch. In CATIA, anytime you want to edit a sketch, all you have to do is double click on it and we're back into that. So I could say, well, I want to spin this around an axis. I want to spin it around this vertical axis here. Well, what I need to do is I need to get these up to here, right? So that's basically it. Except the problem is I can't be that exact. I'm not going to be right on. See, I'm missing it a little bit there. So what you have to do is constrain it there. If you didn't draw it, if you didn't let it snap there to begin with. So say coincidence there. I click this here. I pick the dot right at the end there, and then I click on here, and I could right click, say coincidence. By the way, we'll do later videos on just Sketcher itself and constraints in various different forms. So now that that is there right up against the vertical axes, I can exit out. Now I can hit the shaft tool again, and I can say spin it around the vertical, and it should do it without any errors. Okay, so let's back up a little bit. Let's say that we're back to here again. I'm just hitting Control Z to undo, by the way. I say, no, 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 I didn't want to have that happen. I want to spin it around right here. Okay, well, I can do that. And really, all you have to do is make a line from here to here. Notice how if I get on that line, it shows a circle with a line, and I'm not exactly on that point yet, so I move right there. Now I know that it's right smack at the end there. So then I can exit out, hit the shaft tool. I want to spin around that axis. You can use a line of itself as long as it's straight. You can use a line there to as the axis line, and that works fine too. So then you say, okay, well, wait, nope, that actually lied. You know, that's not what I wanted. What I really wanted was this shape here. I wanted it to spin around the vertical axis, but I wanted it to be hollow in the center. Oh, okay. So again, we have to come back in here, and really in that case, all you have to do is close it. Exit, shaft, this around that now, and now you have that. All right, well, let me give you another example here. This one, you may or may not need to use this. It might be somewhat irrelevant to you. But you can literally put in an axis line into your sketch. So again, if we go in here to edit, here's all your drawing tools, if you want to call them that, right? Right here is the axis line. So you can hit this, and you can just draw a line wherever you want it. So you say, that's my axis line, and then, you know what, just for the sake of ease of use, I'm going to get rid of that. And we can redraw this and let it snap to that line there. I'm double clicking to stop, or you can hit double escape. So there's my shape. Here's my axis line. Really the main benefit here is when I exit out and I go to shaft this thing, it will automatically recognize the axis line in your sketch. Notice right here it says sketch axis, and it will use that to spin it around. That's probably the intended way to do all of this. A lot of people might just be fine closing the line like so, and then spinning around that. But notice again, if I pick this, then I have to pick that. Okay. So that's basically it with the shaft tool, and the groove tool looks the same and opposite. But I'd like to look at a couple more small things, and then I'll just kind of go through a little bit of some practice. So pick sketch, pick a plane, and let's say I want to just make a radius. These are my circles here. I can pick any one of these. This is a 3-point arc. I click, click again. There's my arc. And what I'm going to want to do is spin this around this line right here. So yeah, sure, why not? How about we put an axis line here just because. So there's that. Exit out. And now from what we learned before, we can't spin this because it's not closed, right? So we hit this, and it says, what are you doing? You can't do it. It's not closed. So that's fine. I hit OK, and I say, well, no, what I want to do is I want to use a thick profile. I want to use a thick profile here. And in this case, I only want it to go around 120 degrees, let's say. Kind of see something developing here. Say, what's going on? Well, when you hit the thick profile, you can do this on the pad, the pocket, and several other features. What it will do is take the sketch line that you made, it will thicken it, and so it becomes kind of a closed box in itself. So it'll kind of help understand this if I make it intentionally extra thick. So let's make it 0.2 thick. Watch these lines right here. By the way, what I'm doing here is I just click in another field that doesn't matter, and then it will update rather than have to hit preview every time. So you see, it took my sketch, say right in here, and it thickened it out. It's like an offset, so it puts it out here, but it closes it all up. So it's the same as if I would have drawn this closed-in C shape. Hit OK, and look what we get. So that's pretty cool. That's a neat way to get kind of a shelled, hollow object. Then from here, kind of reviewing some of your other things, you can continue on. You pick a plane here and say, okay, well, I'm on this plane. I'm going to draw a circle. Put it right here. Exit out. This circle's floating in space. Grab the pocket. Reverse the direction on it and say up to last. Whoop. There we go. Get a hole cut through it. So that's another neat thing that you can do with the shaft tool. You can also do that, like I said, with the pad or pocket tool. So let's take a look at our pocket here. So if we look at the pocket, we look right here. Here's that thick checkbox. The same one that we had in the shaft. We have one in groove. We also have one in pad as well. If you hit the thick checkbox, then we'll have our value right here. We're going to leave it as 0.2. Now look over here. What do you suppose is going to happen with this? If you thicken the sketch, this was our original sketch. You thicken it, kind of follow my mouse here. We're going to thicken it towards the inside here. So it thickens that line. Essentially, you have a circle with another circle inside of it. So that means what it's going to do is remove what's between those two. And you can see the preview going on over here. That's where it's going to remove this and leave the center behind. Hit OK. There it is. Okay, so many of these tools you're going to find along the way have a thick feature to them, and that's basically how you can use them. Kind of handy. All right, to finish this off here, I'm going to get rid of this, and I'm going to make another shape so we can go through the groove tool. The groove tool will be the same as the shaft tool. It's just going to subtract. We can talk about maybe how you might utilize it, but essentially it's a review. So I'll go here to this plane, grab a profile tool, and I'll create some kind of a shape here. Click. Now I want to show you this is a little bit different. If you want, you can double click to end it, but if you slipped or you went, oops, I forgot to double click, you can always hit escape twice. So maybe you can hear the keyboard click, but I'm going to hit escape twice and it clips it off at the last point. The other thing you can do with a lot of these tools that have multiple vertices is I can grab one, if you can get a hold of just the point, and you can go ahead and move it around as you see fit. Of course, again, later we'll go through all these constraints and show how to lock this all up. So there's my shape. I'll exit out, spin it around, vertical axes, hit OK, and there we are. Uh-oh. Come back here. We still had 120 from last time, so we're going to change this to 360. Easy enough to edit. And there we have our shape. So now with the groove tool, I want to pick a plane. I'm going to draw a shape on that plane, and what it's going to do is going to remove part of this. So let's say we have this shape, and I want to create a little bit of a slot in here, if you will, to add, let's say, something like maybe an O-ring. So I hit my plane, go to Sketcher, pick my circle tool, put it right, let's say about there. I do want to point out that a lot of times something like this I'd want to have snapped maybe right to this edge, but it won't snap. This is a thing that we'll utilize later called projections that will allow me to catch outlines of objects, and then I can use them to do things like what I just said. So I'll exit out. There's my shape. Hit the groove tool, and my sketch was already selected, so now I pick the axes. I could pick the vertical axes, but just to be different, we'll pick the side face. That'll spin that around 360 degrees. Hit OK, and there's that. Now it's just carving away. So I hit the plane again, go into Sketcher, grab a circle, put it here. We'll make it a little bit smaller. Exit out, hit groove, pick my axes, hit OK. There's my shape. So pretty easy. One last variation. So I hit the plane, go to Sketcher, grab a circle, and let's put it, say, right here. Well, that is, if you rotate your plane around here, inside the part. Okay, so what's going to happen here? So I'll exit out, hit the groove tool, pick my sketch, pick my axes, spins it around 360 degrees. On the inside it appears, right? So I hit OK, and you can still see, because I'm highlighting, you see that it looks like it's there, but if you click away, nobody would even know. All right, so is it there? Did it just evaporate? Well, what I can do here is if you see my mouse, I can come down here to dynamic sectioning, which is a fairly new icon addition to the part design workbench. I pick my plane, and now you see my arrow right on the red line there. I can grab it and I can pull this through, and sure enough, you see that there is that cavity that we created on the inside. As a little bit of a side note, you really, up until recently, couldn't manufacture this. This would be pretty difficult to make in any, typical manufacturing method. It would quite frequently would be cut. The part here would be cut in half. You would have to mill that shape out on both sides, and then you'd have to put it back together, and that might entail also adding some holes, say, up here, so that you could bolt the thing together, and then you got bolts and nuts and all this other stuff, trying to, adding more features to it. With the addition of 3D printing nowadays, yeah, we could absolutely send this right away to the printer, and there would be a cavity inside of it. So that's it. So that's pretty much it for the shaft and groove tools. As I let the video roll out, I will just continue to add more and more features to this. So thanks again. The next one up, I'm going to skip over the hole tool for right now. I'm going to go to the rib and slot tools, because again, they're very similar. They have a positive feature and a negative feature. Then after that, we'll go on to the multi-section solid tool, and then this one is the removed multi-section solid tool. Then we'll come back and we'll cover this the other icons. So thanks again.